Welcome aboard the Clue Crew Mystery Channel. I'm Jen, and I'm here with my co host, Wendy Nugent, author of Cozy Mysteries. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, and we're here today with Denise Jaden. And Denise is the author of the Mallory Beck Cozy Culinary Capers and the Tabitha Chase Days of the Week Mysteries. She's also the author of several critically acclaimed young adult novels and nonfiction books for writers, including the NaNoWriMo popular guide Fast Fiction. In her spare time, Denise acts in TV and movies and dances with a Polynesian dance troupe, which is so cool. She lives just outside of Vancouver, British Columbia, with her husband, son, and one very spoiled cat. Understand that. Got one myself. Sign up on Denise's website to receive bonus content. You'll find clues in every bonus epilogue, as well as updates on her new Cozy Mystery Series. Welcome, Denise. We're so glad to have you today. Thank you for being
Thank
a part of
you.
it.
Oh, thanks for inviting me. Yeah,
So, Denise, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you became an author?
sure. So it was actually, I was never a reader or a writer, which is surprising to most people. I grew up and I hated books and I did everything I could throughout school to get around reading. I didn't want to read. I'd watch the movie if it was possible, or I'd talk to people about a synopsis. I would do anything to get out of reading. So it was kind of crazy when I all of a sudden had the reading bug bite me. A friend of mine who I worked with at the time, I was a church secretary, and it was one of the pastors. He brought in a book and he suggested, like, you've probably never read for fun. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, yeah, because didn't really make sense to me. So, yeah, so he gave me this book and he said, you'll love it, I promise. And I did. And so
What a
that got
wonderful
me
gift he
started.
gave you. That is awesome. That
Yeah.
is great. And honestly, the fact that reading can be a struggle for kids in school. And this kind of
Mhm.
shows you don't have to be a huge reader as a kid to become an author. How cool
E-
is that? I love that story. Actually,
Exactly.
it gave me goosebumps. So that's cool.
Yeah. So anyways, I still wasn't into writing at that point, but I really appreciated, like, I would stop and reread parts in books because they just touched me or they were just worded so perfectly, and I had a lot of respect for that, but I didn't think that I could do it. And then I got pregnant with my son, and I don't know, my brain changed during that time, and all of a sudden I wanted to write down my thoughts and I wanted to write everything down. And I was a little nervous about putting things down, being honest about things. It was hard for me. And so I actually wrote them into stories. And that kind of became my journal. And I had so much fun with it. And then all of a sudden the stories would take off in different directions that were not about me at all. And it was
And what a
just
gift for
so
your
much
son. He'll
fun.
have those stories.
Yeah.
He'll have that from
Yeah.
that time period. That's really cool.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I got into it
That's very
a
unique. I
million
don't
years
think,
ago.
yeah, anybody has ever said anything like that before that I've heard. So that's really
I
neat.
haven't heard that
Oh,
either.
oh, that's cool.
So cool.
Denise, what
Yeah.
drew you to the mystery genre?
So I used to write young adult fiction, and I love young adult fiction. I have a very strong inner teenager that's always wanting to get out. But a friend of mine who writes cozy mysteries and is very successful with it, her name is Lee Strauss. She was looking to expand her list, and she just couldn't write fast enough for her fans. And she said, "Why don't you co-write with me, so I can get some more books out there?" And I was like, "I don't know if I can write mysteries." And she says, "I promise you can. Just try. Come along with me and try." And so I did, and I loved it. I fell in love with the whole puzzle pieces, putting it together, the clues, and solving who's most guilty and all that kind of stuff. It was so much fun. So yeah, so that's how I got started with it.
Really neat. And to do co-writing, that can be challenging. So that's really fun
Yeah,
that you guys were able to do that together and have that
it was a
together.
lot of fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun to do. So, but I mean, I'm mostly just on my own now, but yeah, it was great way to get started.
Well, and
So,
you get to learn from somebody who's incredibly talented and kind of has a system. You
right.
can jump ahead a little bit on how to plot. And or do you plot? Is that sorry,
I
I'm jumping ahead.
No, that's okay. I do plot. I often don't stick to my plots. Um, I will often pick a murderer or a bad guy, and it ends up going a totally different, or I end up being too obvious about it. And so I get halfway through my book and I'm like, I gotta pick somebody else. This is way too obvious. So,
But that leads everybody down the wrong path too, so it works.
yes, yes. Yeah.
Denise, do you remember the first mystery novel you ever read?
Well, the first one was actually a young adult novel,
Mhm.
and I wasn't planning on writing a mystery. It just happened that way. So my first young adult novel that was published was called Losing Faith, and it was about a girl whose sister died. And really, I thought it was more of a personal story again for me. When I was a teenager, I lost my best friend, and it was, a bit of a confusing time trying to figure out why this happened and stuff. So I thought it was going to be a grief story. And then it turned into a mystery because she figured out through the writing that, yeah, that maybe there was some mystery behind her sister's death. So,
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah.
Where do you find the inspiration for your stories?
Well, they come from everywhere, really. But I would say that most of my mysteries so I work as a background extra on film and TV sets,
Okay.
and I spend a lot of time in a holding tent. And I spend all this time with all these people who are all creative people. That's why they want to work in movies, right? So they all are there because they're creatives. And so they love the fact that I'm sitting there writing books in amongst them. So we always chat about what my books are about and what my series is about and stuff like that. And now some of my better friends that I get together with regularly like to come in and say, well, what if this happened? And what if this was the murder weapon? And what if, and so they help me a lot with my plotting, and it is so much fun. Like it really passes the days.
Oh,
That's so
that's really
neat.
fun.
You should bring some of them on as co-writers.
Right? Yeah. None of them want to write, actually. They just really like getting into the whole plotting of it. So
Dabble,
yeah,
a little
yeah,
dabble. So,
yeah.
what are some of your favorite hobbies and activities outside of writing?
Well, I Polynesian dance, so I have a dance group that I'm kind of retired from it, but I do still pop in once in a while, and I like to practice still. I really enjoy the whole Polynesian culture, and yeah, I've done it since I was a little kid, and so I love to do that, and I also love to do like really basic graphic design. I
Oh,
wouldn't say I'm professional at all, but I do make my own covers, and I really enjoy, like, that works a different part of my brain. So when I'm tired of writing and I need a break, I usually turn to making covers and making ads, like ad images for Facebook or whatever. So
that's cool. I'm glad you like that part. A lot of authors are like, "Oh, that's
yeah,
that's really cool." So
yeah,
let's talk about your books. So,
sure.
what kind of settings do you have? Like, what are the characters generally all about?
So in my Mallory Beck series, which is the one what we're doing with this book club, I set it in Honeysuckle Grove, West Virginia, which is a fictional town. I really wanted to set it somewhere in the South. When I first started the series, I knew I wanted her to be a chef, and I wanted it to revolve around food. I love food, I love cooking, and I really wanted to delve into that. And so I looked at really, it was like the recipes that took me to West Virginia. And I'm like, I think this is where I want to set it because I see a lot of good recipes from here, and I can think of a lot of cool things that she could cook along the way.
I'm
So that,
curious. What
yeah.
kind of recipes led you to West Virginia?
Um, I mean, lots of like the stews and the
Okay.
pepperoni rolls, pastry type things. Yeah, stuff like that.
I'm a
Neat.
foodie myself. I prefer to eat it though, over cooking though.
Yeah. I do too, but I do enjoy the cooking as well.
That's cool. So
Yeah.
what themes do you explore in your mystery novels?
I think the major theme is a sense of belonging, finding a place to belong. Friendship is really, really big. Like, even though there is always a love interest, I feel like the friendship thread is always a bit stronger. That's finding good friends that understand you, and again, finding a place to belong. That is always a theme in my books. And yeah, I
And
just love
perfect
writing about
for
it.
part of why we started the book club, because we feel
Right.
that too, that we want to have that community and that belonging and
Yeah.
have people that share what you're excited about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think one of my most common reviews that I see is that these characters feel like friends and family, which I love. I love
no,
to read that.
that is a great review.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, Denise,
Yes.
favorite part about the writing process?
Uh, well, again, along with that, I feel like it's connection with readers. When they connect somehow to my stories and my characters and they tell me about it, that just warms my heart. That's what I do it for. It's absolutely like the most important thing for me. Yeah.
What's your least favorite thing about writing?
Ah, boy. I mean, I hate time pressures.
Hmm.
So I've learned over the years not to book myself in with editors and stuff like that until I'm nearly ready, because that just is debilitating to me.
Ah,
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't do pre-orders until a book is done because
yeah,
I
same.
yeah,
Yeah,
same thing. Too
yeah,
much anxiety. I don't like it.
yeah,
And I know for some people they do that and it's like motivating and keeps them going. And I'm
yeah.
like,
No, that's
no,
not
no,
me
the
either.
brain just stops working if I
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's probably my least favorite part.
yeah.
Yeah.
so let's talk a little bit more about your writing process. What does a
Oh,
typical writing day look like for you?
So my work schedule is very up in the air because I work with the film industry. I often don't know if I'm working until 10 o'clock the night before.
oh,
So if I'm working, then generally I just get up, I get ready, and I go straight to work. And when I get to work, I'm always early. That's just the type of person I am. So I get there early, and the first thing I do is I open my computer and I write. I'm not as diligent with it at home, but when I'm working, it's like really, really, I'm really diligent. Like I can get on set and I feel like I feed off of the creative energy around me and I can just get into my story within like 5 minutes. And it's always a bit annoying to me when it's like when I have to start my real job because because I have to close my laptop and get finished with the story for the moment. If I'm at home, I try to get into writing, but I find that I get distracted with a lot of administrative stuff. I will return emails, I'll do check up on my ads, do things that really aren't that important, and it's all procrastination. So I have a hard time with that. But when I'm at home, I do get some writing done. And then I head to the gym and run errands and come back. And my aim is to do my administrative stuff in the afternoon if I can. So I prefer to do writing in the morning, admin in the afternoon, workout in between, and then cook and feed my family and all that sort of stuff. So yeah.
So, do you ever have a writer's block or creative slumps?
So I don't really believe in writer's block for myself. And I know that everybody's different.
Mhm.
When I wrote the book Fast Fiction, I really delved into my beliefs on that. And really, I feel like writer's block is just a fear of not writing well.
Hmm.
So I have just decided that I'm going to write when I have time to write, no matter what. And
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be good. And first drafts, always have lots of problem areas anyways. So I'm like, well, you know what? If today is a problem area, that's okay. I'm still just going to write. And yeah, so I think it's just a fear of not writing well. And I give myself permission to not write well whenever I need to.
I love that you give yourself grace. I feel like some of us need to do that more often.
Yeah. You're a writer as well? Yes, that's good. Yeah.
How long does it typically take you to write a book from start to finish?
Well, when I wrote fast fiction,
Mhm.
my aim was to teach people how to write a first draft within a month. And
Wow.
I can do that.
Mhm.
It takes usually a month or two of getting the story together and plotting ahead of time. So I can do that, but I don't do it so much anymore. I feel like as I'm getting a bit older, I feel like I just want to enjoy the process a bit more. And also with mysteries, I feel like sometimes I need a little time to think about where things have gone and
Mhm.
who's become more guiltier or whatever. So yeah, so I'm not quite as fast these days. I would say it probably typically takes me a couple of months to write a first draft. And yeah, it's not hard for me to write a first draft. I can write fairly quickly. Again, I don't stop with writer's block. I just kind of keep going. Even if stuff is going to get pulled out later, I just keep going and winding my way through. And I feel like every day is a bit more of getting to know my characters, even if it doesn't make it to the final draft.
That's neat. I love getting into authors' brains. You guys are all so different and so interesting. So,
Hmm.
if someone was new to your books, which book
Mhm.
would you recommend?
Probably the one that is with the book club, the Murder at Mile Marker 18. I feel like if readers don't love magic and the paranormal, then they're gonna love it, even though there's a bit of a cat that has, a little bit of abilities in it. It's still not too much for people who aren't into the magical twist. I think that most people love delicious food.
Indeed.
So, yeah, and most people
Oh, if we
do
have
love.
cats, we know our cats talk to us, so
Yeah,
that's not really
exactly.
even paranormal because they have lots to say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, most people love a very smart cat.
Yes.
So, yeah, so I think it's a good one to start with.
Awesome. Well, we're
Hey,
very excited to have this book as our first our book in the book club for this year. So, if you guys would like to read this together, please come and join our book club. It's the Clue Crew Mystery Book Club. We're going to have information on how to join that down in the description below, and then you will be able to get to read this book together. And we'll also have a more in-depth interview with Denise in the book club. So we'd really love to have you all join.
Yeah.
So I'm going to conclude. If you enjoyed this video and want more exclusive content, including free mystery ebooks, in-depth author interviews, and a chance to connect with fellow mystery lovers, consider joining our Clue Crew Mystery Book Club. Denise, we are going to include where to find you. If you'd like to tell us where,
Perfect.
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, my website is denisejaden.com. And most social media, I'm Denise Jaden, so you'll be able to find me on there. And yeah, you can join my newsletter for my website, and I'd love to stay in touch.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Denise. Thank
Thank
you, Wendy,
you.
for joining us
Thank
today.
you, Jen, for hosting. And it was so wonderful to get to meet you.
Well, thank you so much. It's great to be here.